Good morning. Good morning. Is this? Okay. Good morning. There is a lot of life in the room this morning, as Sue was saying. It's got to be the weather, right? Well, welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship, or BUF, as it is affectionately known around here. My name is Reverend Sunny McMillan, and I am the minister here at BUF. My pronouns are she and her. My visual descriptors for those experiencing sight impairment are that I am a white woman in my late 40s with fair skin and red hair styled in a bun. I am wearing reading glasses and a cream-colored top with black dots and black slacks. Whether you are joining us in person or online, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. We do have several housekeeping and announcement type issues to get through before we deepen into our service. First and foremost, today we will be holding our annual evacuation drill at the end of today's service. That may be a surprise for some folks. We hold these drills annually so that we are prepared in case of a fire or other emergency. We have done our best to keep today's service to 60 minutes or probably a little bit under so that there is plenty of time for the evacuation drill before we head into coffee and our social hour. Here is what you need to know about the drill. First, it is optional. I know these evacuation drills are important practice because they help us create a plan and muscle memory for when we really need them in a real emergency. But the alarm will sound, and it is going to be loud, really loud. If this is going to cause too much nervous system distress for you or your family, you can leave before we sing Circle Round for Freedom at the very end. I will remind you several times throughout this service of the evacuation drill so that you can do what is best for you and your family. For those who are participating at the end of the service, we will remain in our seats for singing Circle Round. Once we finish that final hymn, the alarm will go off. It will be loud. Everyone in the sanctuary is to exit the closest door that leads to I Street. There's one in that back corner. There's one right here by the piano. Everyone who leaves through these doors will proceed across I Street to the school building on the other side of the street. There will be evacuation team volunteers leading everyone in the right direction. Those who need to use a ramp will need to use this exit by the piano. If you see someone with mobility issues near you, you may wish to ask if they would like assistance. We ask that you not exit through the north exit. This is because in case of a real emergency, the first responders and emergency vehicles are going to be parked in front of those front steps, and we don't want to block their access to the building. For those not in the sanctuary, like the office floor, and most importantly, our kiddos on the top floor in religious education classes, Liz, our religious education director, as well as some volunteers, will be taking the kids down the stairwell that's on the far corner in the back of the building. So don't go running toward where your kids are. They're going to be led out to Fouts Park. They will wait for you there until you as an adult come to get them from Liz and the other volunteers. The alarm is going to sound for 3 minutes. It will feel like an eternity. If the alarm goes off before you have reached the school building, please just keep moving in the right direction until we've finished the full evacuation and you've arrived at your destination. Staff and volunteers of the evacuation team will ensure that everybody is cleared out of the building. We've got walkie-talkies. We will be in contact with each other. These are going to be walkie-talkies we have going forward. This is going to help our safety procedures around here. Once all the floors have been cleared and everyone is at their designated gathering area, kids at Fouts Park, adults over here, I will give the all clear, and then adults are welcome to get their kids from Fouts Park, and everyone else can come back in the building for coffee hour, for the Brian Flowers class upstairs. We just really appreciate your willingness to help us practice this drill. Of course, we hope we never need to use it in real life, but if we do, our practice today could save lives, and that's why we're doing it. Okay, now that we've got our fire drill instructions out of the way, I'd like to invite up Jane Ronka-Washburn to speak about the Social and Environmental Justice Committee Sunday collections. If you're new around here, the Social and Environmental Justice Committee takes a special collection each month for a particular nonprofit or community organization in the area. The entire offering that day goes to the organization, and now SEJC is selecting those organizations, and they want your help.
Good morning. My name is Jane Ronka-Washburn, and my pronouns are she and her. The Social and Environmental Justice Committee, SEJC, invites you to attend the meeting where we select the recipients of the monthly SEJC collections for our next church year. The meeting will be held by Zoom on May 19th, Tuesday, from 1 to 4 p.m., with voting following the meeting. If you wish to attend, you must RSVP to Kara Black, see today's order of service, no later than May 10th. She will send you a packet containing 15 applications, which you are required to read before the meeting so you can ask questions for new information. We ask that you familiarize yourself with the selection criteria, the online link for which is also in the order of service. An additional requirement is that you stay for the entire 3-hour meeting to be fair to all of the recipients. This is a good opportunity to become familiar with the many interesting and helpful organizations in Bellingham, and a significant way that you can further Buff's contribution to our wider community. If you have questions, please call or email Cara. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. And now one final announcement from Sarah Pearson about the women's retreat, which is fast approaching. I plan to be there.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Pearson, she, her pronouns, and it is our 2-week countdown to Weaving a Web of Connection, our annual Buff Women's Retreat. Today is the last day to register for this event, which is taking place at Camp Lutherwood on lovely Lake Samish. Believe it or not, 70-ish, feminish folks are signed up already, either for overnight or for Saturday only. So stop by the retreat table today in the social hall after the service or register online at the Buff website. It is also the last day to receive a refund, so if your plans have changed, please contact Clear Lending or stop by the table. So you get to make this weekend into what you need it to be, an opportunity for connection, rejuvenation, inspiration, fun, or rest. Let meals and cleanup be done for you. Let the Buff women buoy you. Experience the peace of yoga and qigong, design a prayer flag, or join the sing-along. Find out what's happening by linking to the schedule on the Buff on the Buff website. For those of you coming, please watch for the packing list and retreat notes to be emailed to you on Mother's Day. Special highlights: a book swap is replacing the Goddess Swap. So start thinking now about a book that you'd want to share. I really want to say a huge thank you to all those who have helped make this happen, not only the planning team, but the midweek update writers, to Sunny, to Allison, to Doug Branson, who did our registration form. And thank you to all the partners, worship leaders, and caregivers who will take care of tasks and kids while the 70 of us are away. And finally, thank you to all who donated to our scholarship fund. Because of you, we were able to meet all requests for financial assistance to attend the retreat, cover registration fees for staff, and have money left over for next year's retreat deposit. What a community.
Okay, now let's settle in, put our phones in worship mode, and allow Ian to play us into the service with our prelude.
Good morning. I'm Sue Livingston, today's celebrant. My pronouns are she and her. When you ask someone for help, you offer them a gift, an opportunity to care and show their care for you, to feel of good use. When you allow someone to help you with what's hard to manage on your own, neither of you are alone. Now together, you clear the river of obstacles and free generosity to flow both ways. We light our flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith, in hope that an ask for help will never be a drastic last resort, but rather an invitation for repair to share. And now please join us in saying our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. And now we have a story for all ages called The Rabbit Listened, read by Marianne Welch.
So if kids want, you can come up here too. Then I feel a little less lonely if anybody comes and joins me. You know, if you're my child, you could sit on my lap or whatever. Thanks, Tristan. Thanks, Lachlan. Thanks, Tora. All right, so we're going to read The Rabbit That Listened by Corey Dewar-Feld. You can totally sit on my lap. One day, Taylor decided to build something new, something special. I bet you guys are builders out there. Something amazing. Taylor was proud. But then, out of nowhere, things came crashing down. Has that ever happened in your life? Things come crashing down? Yeah. The chicken was the first to notice. Cluck, cluck, what a shame. I'm so sorry this happened. Let's talk about it. Cluck, cluck. But Taylor did not feel like talking, so the chicken left. Next came the bear. Garr! How horrible! I bet you feel so angry. Let's shout about it. Garr, rawr, rawr. What does Taylor look like in that picture? Yeah. But Taylor did not feel like shouting. He probably felt scared. So the bear left. Mm-hmm. Totally. The elephant knew just what to do. Trump-da, I can fix this. We just need to remember exactly the way things were. But Taylor didn't feel like remembering. So the elephant left. One by one they came. The hyena, hee, let's laugh about it. Then the ostrich, gulp, let's hide and pretend nothing happened. The kangaroo, okay, what a mess. Let's throw it all away. And the snake, shh, let's go knock down someone else's. Sneaky. But Taylor didn't feel like doing anything with anybody, and so eventually they all left until Taylor was alone. Yeah. In the quiet, Taylor did not even notice the rabbit. It moved closer and closer, kind of like Alice is right now on my lap. until Taylor could feel its warm body. Together they sat in silence until Taylor said, "Please stay with me." The rabbit listened. The rabbit listened as Taylor talked. The rabbit listened as Taylor shouted. The rabbit listened as Taylor remembered and laughed. The rabbit listened as Taylor's plans to hide, to throw everything away, and to ruin things for someone else. Looks like he wanted to try all those things eventually. Through it all, the rabbit never left. And when the time was right, the rabbit listened to Taylor's plan to build again. "I can't wait," Taylor said. "It's going to be amazing." The end.
And now let's sing our children out off to their classes. Since arriving at Buff last October, on several occasions I've encountered folks who wanted to know if Buff has a pastoral care team, and if so, who's on it, and how can they get in touch with that team, and what do they do? So we thought it would be a fun and useful idea to craft a service around care, where we introduced your Buff pastoral care team. A few of these folks, like Rick Steele, Carola Tassetti, and Ted Williams, have been on the team for a while. But we are also thrilled to have added a few new folks, Pam Graham, Marianne Welch, and Reverend Marcia Volkamer, who just happened to be the associate priest for pastoral care at St. Paul's before coming over to Buff. So most all of this team has some background in mental health, social work, and/or caregiving. So I'd like to invite the team up to the chancel now so you can hear from each of these folks. They'll be sharing just a little about their zone of genius in providing care. For example, Marianne is affectionately known around here as the roving resource lady because as a former social worker, she is an expert at helping folks navigate and access available community resources.
Well, good morning. I'm Pam Graham, a retired psychotherapist. My involvement with the pastoral care team here is to be able to offer comfort through connection by listening deeply. In my own life, I know that when tragedy, surprise, disappointment, a diagnosis, a death occurs, it throws my life into chaos. So there's confusion, vulnerability, and a sense of disconnection from the world as I knew it. Being able to speak to someone about what matters most in times like this has proven to be very helpful and healing, and I'd like to think that that's what I can offer others.
Good morning. I'm Rick Steele. I have to read this so I know who I am. My pronouns are he and him. I love to learn more about you by listening carefully with the goal of understanding any concerns you may be having and together figuring out a path forward. For my day job and other volunteering, I am an elder planning specialist and regularly connect with leaders of agencies and nonprofits providing resources in our community that help us all age well as we travel through our golden years.
Where is it? There we go. My name's Ted Williams, and I was just smiling listening to the story that Marianne spoke because I'm sort of a poster child of the success of pastoral care. When my life crashed and burned about 6 years ago, pastoral care team wrapped me in love and really led me through that. The main thing I want to share, I'm retired administrator and teacher at a tribal college and did my counseling degree, but applied it to helping students navigate math, which is a trauma experience for most. So, what I want to say is that what I've learned is my sight has gotten worse, and I've struggled with receiving, is that giving and receiving really are one and the same thing. And like I tell my daughter all the time, give whatever is joy in your heart, because whatever you receive, whatever you give, is all the natural, beautiful flow of the universe. And I'm really thankful to be on this team.
My name is Carola Tosetti, with a few words about the phone ministry. We started the phone ministry during COVID as a way to stay in touch with our Buff community. And everyone really appreciated the calls, so we decided to continue. You can look forward to hearing from us.
And I'm still Marianne Welch. My pronouns are she, her. I do want to mention that all of our supports are free and confidential. Really important to know that. What you share with us, we won't share with others. So as Sunny mentioned, I have a deep desire to support our children and our families in this congregation, in addition to individuals. So I'm a natural helper. I can't not help. It's kind of like a really serious addiction. So in addition to knowing a lot of local resources, like basic needs, mental health, finding counseling, parenting support, I also have a lot of knowledge about personal experiences such as grief, cancer, yes, these are not real, depression, anxiety, and hard topics. So I embrace all of that and all of you.
I am the Reverend Marcia Volkamer, and as Sunny said, even though I'm relatively new to the pastoral care team here, I was in a fairly recent previous life priest associate for pastoral care at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. The message that I shared there is the same one I would share with you this morning. Pastoral care is not called pastoral because it belongs to a pastor or a minister or a priest. It's pastoral in the shepherding sense. We are part of a large flock here at Buff, in our families, in our neighborhoods, and in our communities. And it falls to all of us at some time or another to be the shepherd. And I'd point out that all of us practice pastoral care in a myriad of ways every day, whether we realize it or not, whether we call it that or not. The members of the team that you've met behind me are the heavy lifters. They're amazing, but I am sure that they could always use a little help and would appreciate some help. And to that end, I have a little assignment for all of you, or maybe we should call it a little exercise. And you can do this whenever, just don't do it during Sunny's message because that would be rude. I invite you to do a quick think of the activities you are engaged in on a normal day in your life. Do you go to the grocery store? Talk with a friend on the phone? Meet someone for coffee? Invite someone's children for a trip to the park or the library? Take some flowers to a friend from your garden? Drive a neighbor to a doctor's appointment? Share a book with a friend? Make dessert for your next door neighbor? Sing some songs for someone who needs them? Well, here's the ask. Would you consider doing one of those things, those very everyday things, for someone you don't know or don't know well, who could really use some extra care right now? We're not asking for volunteers to commit to months or years of providing pastoral care. My question is, would you be willing to try something once? The very best volunteers are those who find out they really are called to the work that they're doing. And if it's not a joyful experience, maybe there's something else you'd like to try. In your order of service, there's a short form we would like for you to fill out, if you feel so called, and put in the offering basket. There's also a basket outside the sanctuary door, which you cannot go to on your way out since you're going out for the fire drill. But when you come back to put your name tag back in the rack, because you know we all need to do that, you could drop it in then. So fill it out if you feel so inclined. You can indicate a preference. For example, some people love preparing meals, and some would prefer to avoid preparing a meal at all costs. That would be me. If you provide your name and contact information, someone from the team will get back to you about a gift of caring you might give. And if you don't have time to do that this morning and you call the office, they will take your name and your contact information and make sure that these people behind me receive that. I want to say that you are all already very good at this. Seeking out someone who seems to be alone at coffee hour, checking in on busters you know are struggling right now, which is something I have gratefully received in the 2 weeks since Rob broke his hip, including the 4 people this morning who listened to my rant about today's status. Sharing smiles and kindness with the little ones and the bigger ones and the older ones and the younger ones. All of these are practices of caring. Pastoral care evolves from this sharing of love in a little bit more intentional way. We are all here for one another. It is one of the things that makes this such an amazing community. And the pastoral care team would like to tap into your big hearts if you have the time and inclination to help us. Thank you.
Now you have an idea of just who is on the team and just what we can do. And I invite you to reach out to us anytime if you or someone you know or love needs some care. The email address that will reach this entire group is caring@buff.org. That's caring@buff.org. Or you can reach out to any one of us individually. We've also left some cards in the pews. We will be adding some of those to the rack out front as well, and that has all of our names as well as the contact information. And now, some very special music from our celebrant, Sue.
Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and think of you turning in circles. Confusion is nothing new. Flashback to warm nights almost left behind. Suitcase of memories. Time after sometimes you
second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time. Time after time. After your picture fades and darkness has turned to gray, watching through windows, I'm wondering if you're okay. And you say, go slow, I fall behind. The drum beats out of time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time.
Two quick announcements before I dive in to my talk. Number one, this is your friendly reminder about the evacuation drill happening at the end of the service. I will remind you one more time before we sing Circle Round for Freedom at the very end. Also, during my talk today, I will be mentioning several deaths encountered in a pastoral care setting. There will not be any details, but if this is not information you wish to hear, please feel free to step outside or take care of yourself, however way works best for you. In the summer between my second and third year of divinity school, I participated in a clinical pastoral education program, or CPE for short. CPE brings together mostly theological students from various faith traditions into supervised spiritual care encounters with folks in places like hospitals, mental health facilities, and correctional institutions. At least 400 hours of clinical pastoral education is required for seminarians who are on their way to becoming UU ministers. And so, in May of 2023, fresh off of my final exams, I arrived at Good Samaritan Hospital in Puyallup, Washington, for a summer of CPE. I was nervous, but I thought I was ready. During past chapters of my life, in both law and coaching, I provided counsel and guidance in one-on-one settings. In divinity school, I'd taken pastoral care classes and practicums. I'd even taken an elective pre-CPE class designed to provide training and prepare students for clinical pastoral education in a hospital setting. And then I got my first assignment with a real patient. I'd specifically requested the palliative care floor, meaning many of the patients I worked with would be approaching the end of their life. My first solo assignment took me to the room of an elderly woman. Having looked at the patient's chart and the notes ahead of time, I knew she had taken a recent turn for the worse, and the prognosis was not good. I arrived at her door, knocked softly, and entered. The patient was intubated and no longer conscious, and a younger woman, who I soon learned was the patient's daughter, was holding her hand. At that moment, no chart notes, no book, no pastoral care classes could fully prepare me for the experience of navigating an end-of-life transition in the real world. I didn't know what to say, and when I did speak, I said all the wrong things. I left feeling so frustrated and ashamed at my own inadequacy to do something, to be helpful, to make the patient's daughter feel better. The next day, when I did a debrief about the encounter with my chaplain supervisor, she kindly reminded me that my primary job as a spiritual or pastoral care provider was to be a non-anxious presence and to simply be a good listener. It was then that I recalled a story from a book my dad had given me years before. It was a book written by my dad's favorite minister, not a UU minister, but a Presbyterian minister who was fairly well known in certain circles in Texas back in the day. His name was Reverend Robert Ball, or Bob Ball, as most folks knew him. And the book was titled, Being With, Maybe This is What Life is All About. In the book, Reverend Bob recounts a story from his first year as a minister. He was leading a congregation in a small town in Oklahoma, and things were going well. That is, until one fateful night when Bob and a lay leader in the congregation named Vilas Koppel parted ways in the church parking lot after a committee meeting ran long into the evening. Bob soon walked in the door to his house to a ringing phone. It was Vilas, who had returned home to find his seemingly healthy 50-something-year-old wife collapsed on the floor, dead. Bob headed for Vilas's house, where he stayed the whole night with him until Vilas's children could get there in the morning. As Bob describes their time together, that long, dark, somber night, not much was said. Maybe a comment here and there, sometimes a short prayer, but most of the time they said nothing. When Reverend Bob finally returned home at dawn, he recalled, I looked at myself in the mirror and said out loud, what the heck are you doing in ministry? All the fine thoughts I developed so carefully in my sermons, all the exciting insights in my classes, all the client-centered skills of my counseling now seemed like giant mockeries. For the first time in my young ministry, I'd been called on to assist a person in desperate, paralyzing need, and I flunked. I had no soothing words to speak, no pastoral comfort to give, no neat ideas as to how to relieve his grief. Despite his self-doubt, Bob stuck around for a couple more years until he was assigned to a new congregation. On his last Sunday at the little church in Oklahoma, Vilas approached him after the service. As Bob tells it, Vilas had tears streaming down his weathered-in-the-oil-field face. He took Bob's hand in both of his rough and gnarled ones, looked him straight in the eye, and said, Bob, if you hadn't been there that night, I could never have made it through. They both knew what night Vilas was referring to. Reflecting back on that pivotal moment, Bob came away amazed. As he put it, the night of my abject failure had been for Vilas a night of personal consolation and meaning and support. Even though weak and confused and incompetent, I was there, caring, being with, to provide the comfort and the hope to Vilas in the most painful and wrenching moment of his life. Over the course of his 28-year ministry, Reverend Bob came to believe in the deep healing power of someone who cares to be with us. As he explains in his book of the same name, Being With, such people can be counted on to affirm us, to listen to us with genuine interest and understanding, and to offer supportive comfort, not through adages, admonitions, or advice, but with the profoundly simple authenticity of their personal presence. I held on to Reverend Bob's simple idea of being with as I continued my summer at the hospital, reminding myself with each patient encounter that I did not need adages or sage advice. I just needed to be with folks. And while we had learned and practiced certain in-depth listening tools and techniques in my pastoral care classes, it really didn't matter whether you called it active listening, deep listening, embodied listening, contemplative listening, holy listening. Listening was not about a specific technique, but a way of being. It's not something we do, but how we are present. It is simply being with. And that is something I see happening every day among the members, friends, and visitors and volunteers around Buff. We have taken time today to recognize our fantastic pastoral care team, or care team as we call it for short. Yes, some members of this care team have specialized training, and yes, they can facilitate and do certain things like make connections to a meal train or resources in the community. But really, just as Reverend Marcia said a few moments ago, the work of pastoral care is shared among all of us. And really, more than the doing, it is about our being with. Kate Braystrup is a Unitarian Universalist chaplain for the Game Warden Service in the state of Maine, who works with search and rescue teams. In her New York Times best-selling memoir, Here If You Need Me, she writes of coming alongside families who are anxiously and hopefully awaiting the return of a child lost in the wilderness, or sitting with a warden colleague after the painful discovery of a body in the woods. Of her work, she writes, I, a famously loquacious person, have a job that mostly requires me to just show up, shut my mouth, and be. As she describes it, I'm not really here to keep you from freaking out. I'm here to be with you while you freak out, or grieve, or laugh, or suffer, or sing. It is a ministry of presence. It is showing up with a loving heart. And that is something most all of us can do. Just show up with a loving heart and be present. No pastoral care classes or divinity school degree or chaplaincy certification needed. As Rabbi Sharon Bruce explains in her book, The Amen Effect, Ancient Wisdom to Mend Our Broken Hearts and the World, we don't need to offer the perfect mix of wisdom, consolation, and inspiration. We just need to show up and make space for something holy to flow through us. Case in point, I have on more than one occasion walked through our lobby to see Buff volunteer Doug Branson sitting with someone on the front steps of our building. The person is not affiliated with Buff. They are just someone in need of a little support and care. Doug's typical wheelhouse around here involves technology, electronic communications, the safety team. But this is a prime example that we are all pastoral caregivers around here, that we will all likely have an opportunity to be with, providing the profoundly simple authenticity of your personal presence, just showing up and making space for something holy to flow through. I've talked a lot today about the shared work of providing pastoral or spiritual care, but before I wrap up, I briefly want to speak about asking for care. I think it's fair to say we are beginning to recognize as a culture and a species that rugged individualism and survival of the fittest and going it on our own are not the healthiest or best ways to live, that community and collaboration and connection are where we flourish and thrive. But I would also argue that while we recognize these things theoretically and conceptually, we may not be comfortable and well-versed in asking for help when we need it. We may reason that I'll be fine. Someone else probably needs it more than me. I don't want to take up resources that could be best used elsewhere. And I will admit this is a huge growing edge for me. And just recently, I was shown how easy asking for help can actually be. I was contacted the other day by a UU from a faraway state who is not affiliated with Buff. They'd been traveling through the area and landed in the hospital. They needed a few items, and they wanted some company. Their request did not have a hint of apology energy, which is usually how I approach requests for help. I'm so sorry, but if you could only... This person was kind, but clear and straightforward in their request, and I came away from the conversation having learned a big lesson in how I myself might ask for care going forward. We have an awesome pastoral care team, each member operating in their own unique zone of genius in providing care. My invitation to you is to ask us for the care and resources you need. And in the meantime, may we be a congregation full of folks who remember that each of us is capable of a ministry of presence, of simply being with. And now I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 1008 or 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
So we're going to do 3 verses and then come flip back to this and do the chorus. Oh.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust His wisdom in each of us, every heartbeat and mind, and we meet our best in another's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when it fills with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when we drop His love deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we feel in each other's words. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when we're blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence, frigid space, and the God of our hearts is there, and we feel the power of each other's faith. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Today's meditation will be very short, and that is okay. It's just a good lesson that it doesn't take long to go inward and do a simple check-in every now and then. So if you feel safe and comfortable doing so, you may want to close your eyes and just notice your body on the seat or the pew. Notice your breath. Maybe take a deep inhale and exhale if you've been holding a little tension. And now, ask yourself, how are you doing? No, really, how are you actually doing? Does your cup runneth over with time and with energy and resources? If so, maybe you feel called to help others around here. Or perhaps your cup is empty. Do you need a little help yourself? What might that help look like? And who might you ask for that help? Or perhaps you're somewhere in the middle, not empty, not running over. However you are doing, whatever you are feeling, whatever you are thinking, just notice, hopefully without judgment. Know what you know, feel what you feel, and simply notice, being with what is. Let's take one last deep breath in. Exhaling and opening your eyes, returning to the room whenever you are ready, as we will take our offering.
whatever you are able to bring to this community, your time, talents, resources, care, they are what sustain Buff's web of spiritual care, both within our congregation and reaching out into our larger community. In a moment, when the ushers come round, if you are ready or feel moved to fill out the volunteer form and put in the basket, that's one time you could do it. And as Marcia said, it can be later too, or whenever you're ready. As the ushers please come forward, and for all of you joining us from home, directions will appear on your screens for how to contribute what you're able. Thank you for your generosity and your presence.
Thank you, Ian. As we prepare to leave this sacred space and go back out into the world, may we, number one, remember there is an evacuation drill in just a few moments. We will stay in place for our final hymn, Circle Round for Freedom. After we finish the hymn, the very loud fire alarm will go off, and we will exit through these two doors. Remember, this is the only door with a ramp if you have mobility issues. And number two, may we remember the holy ministry of presence we provide when we show up for one another. And may we remember it also is a holy ministry to ask for help when we need it. And now, as we have extinguished our chalice, I affirm that we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now we will sing Circle Round for Freedom, followed by the evacuation drill. Okay. Let's stay in place as much as possible for Circle Round for Freedom. Okay.